Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to Terratech with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to a bit of a chill episode today. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, the heat wave is still affecting the UK. Yes, I know the temperatures aren't exactly that high compared with most of the world, but for us Brits in our houses which really love to retain heat, it's just weird, and it really puts me out of the mood to do anything. So today, we're going to chill. Which I now realise I could have made into a pun about the heatwave, but either way, we're going to chill, and all we're going to do is upgrade our lovely Fabricator. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so it can defend itself at least a little bit using the Venture missiles. We're going to make it look a little bit better by adding some sections to the bottom, some extra pillars and such, and we're going to build a new defense turret, which will go here in the center. Because sadly, most of our weapons currently simply work better on a rotating turret, and well, when they're stationary, they're just not particularly good. That's where the cluster missile launcher comes in, because it can fire everywhere pretty easily, and things like the roundabout mortar. So then, let's get started. And on top of this, before I forget, we are going to continue where we left off last time in building more of these, the mixed lots of silos. So, begin to make those again, please. Thank you very much. Now, I have been scrapping a few things off camera, which means we can just instantly start making these. I really need to get scrapping, and speaking of which, there we are, the Geocorp scrapper. We built that last time, so I think I'll start off by building an actual scrapping station. Now, let's just quickly build a little drone so we can get around a bit easier while building, because otherwise it's going to be an absolute nightmare. Let's try the tiny little tracks. That would be adorable. That'll be bouncy, admittedly. Now, I don't actually have a gyroscope, do I? Please go into the location I want you to go to. So, no, I don't have a gyroscope, which means most likely this is going to flip over as soon as I move, isn't it? No! Well, aren't you cute? Now, normally, I just use the GSO hub wheels. I mean, I've been using that for series now. But yeah, that's just far too cute. Okay, this is our new version of the mini drones whilst we're building. Isn't it just the cutest? And now it is fearsome and orc-like. Oh, I can still shoot through there. Well, that's just adorable now, isn't it? Okay, so what we're going to do. Where is the scrapping location going to be? I'm thinking just here. I'm also tempted to redo this section, perhaps even remove it. Perhaps turn it into a battery storage section, armor it all up on the outside, because all this is just useless. This was originally going to be the scrapping area, but we've run out of space, in addition to a few other things I think it really needs a quick looking at. Either way, though, for now, let's quickly do this. I love how conveyors can just connect anytime. It's like playing with Lego. Capitalist Lego, which I hear is actually a new set coming out soon. Oh, this is going to be one of those days. I put down that scrapper like a minute ago or two, and then forgot that I put down the scrapper. It's the equivalent of putting your keys in your pocket and then looking around the house to try and find the keys. The scrapper is there, Lathrix. You did make it. You're not going mad. You are completely sane. Everyone else can hear the voices as well. It's not just you. Now, get in there. There we are. Yeah, this whole section's going to go down. Now, thankfully, because of that magnet being there, every time I throw things away, it goes to the magnet, then it goes to the SCU, even though I'm miles away from the SCU. Which is really cool. Is it lazy that I couldn't be bothered to go over here with one of my harvesters, so instead I just added guns to this little drone? Or is it ingenious? I think it's ingenious. And derpy. Now, thankfully, these miners don't really add to the lag because they don't have the AI. It was definitely the AI from the defense turrets which was causing the issue before. We're still on a happy 60 FPS. Oh, come on. There we go, all four of you. Thank you very much. Now, I do have something else I made. There it is, the quick craft. This can just go down there. That looked really weird. And I would like you to make an unlimited supply of this one. Thank you very much. And then both of you can have your cabs removed. And all is well, all is good. If that was actually going the right way, that is. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I also need an SCU. Then all is well, all is good. Yada, yada, yada. All is well, all is good. Yada, yada, yada. Rhodius gets turned into Rhodius blocks. Rhodius blocks say hello to the scrapper. We now have Rhodius blocks. Isn't that just magical? And that should now be enough to finally get all the mixed silos we want, which is pretty darn fantastic if you ask me. Behold the great falling of resource. Don't worry, I'll pick it up afterwards. But first, it's just going to be really, really messy, which I'm sure will bother no one. I mean, that is kind of satisfying to watch, I've got to say. My little cab is swimming in resource. It's a very Scrooge McDuck kind of moment. I don't know why that's so funny. Happiness. So I've changed my mind about how I'm going to be storing the resource. Now, I am still going to be storing the raw resource, which a lot of people have yelled at me about, which is fair enough because, well, with like almost no exceptions other than a couple, you don't really need raw resource for anything, and now we're in the later game, we really don't need raw resource. But I am keeping it for one very important reason. I think it looks really cool. I love seeing the raw resource next to its refined version at all times. It just, I don't know, it makes it look a bit more complete. Maybe it's a completionist thing, but I really like that. But now, we need to figure out how we're going to do this. So, why on earth do I only have one GSO filter? Because I'm looking at the shop, not my own bloody inventory, that's why. There we go. I just bought some of these, the step conveyors, because I want this going up from now on rather than that weird way it went last time, so I think it'll look a bit more interesting, if nothing else. Now, it's readily apparent to anyone who's watching these videos that I'm not a huge fan of very compact designs. In fact, I actively try to avoid them normally because I just don't like that overall style. I'm not particularly good at building them, and I just don't find them interesting in the slightest. And that is a problem because I do need to start getting better at that because it does make more efficient designs, and more efficiency is more money. But for now, with this base, since this is going to be the base I stare at for hours upon hours, I'm building it my way, much to the ire of even myself, honestly. But right now, we're going to continue with that trait anyway, and we are going to make this really, really stupidly over the top when it comes to storage. Now, this will also act as a bit of extra storage, weirdly, because of how over the top it's going. So this is where we're going to add the filters. Rather than having this track go upwards, and then along that having filters, we're going to have this track go along the bottom, and then have the filters feeding into these, because I think these look really, really cool. Actually, now I look at it like that, I think what might look better is having a single conveyor, then having this. Yeah, that looks even better. Okay, so that's what we're going with. Like that all the way down to our level, which I think is this. I think that's correct. Though I think there might be a problem. No, that is actually correct. Excellent. Okay, so that's how far they're all going down. So I will have to move all this around, and I will need to do something different with that anchor. I guess I could just attach it to these blocks, and that'll all be fine, well and good. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to have the filters at the bottom, and yeah, it'll even act as extra storage, because all the way up there we'll be holding the resources. Now, another idiotic idea, which is definitely my specialty, so what I could do is move over the manufacturing blocks over here, if we have space, if we don't exceed the maximum limit, and then have these go all the way down and across. This does mean, of course, the defense turret will no longer be able to be placed here, but that's fine, we can simply place it there instead. And then have the refinery there, and all this system in this section. That way we have long lines of conveyors which can all hold resource. Now, if I wanted loads of extra resource, obviously this isn't the way to go. Stacking the silos, adding extra silos, because you can just stack these. I think you can have an unlimited amount if it's a static building rather than a mobile vehicle, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I have been told that, but I don't know how exactly that works. But obviously there are better ways. But the thing is, again, I think this would look really cool, because when it's full, there'll be conveyors full of resource just ready to then refill the silos. Yeah, that's what I'm going to try and do. Okay, so a bit more of an ambitious project than originally intended. Probably easiest then, just to completely disconnect it, allow this part to fall to the ground, and the other building should still stay intact. So disconnect here first. Then disconnect this. And please do not explode on me. Thank you. Thank you so much. I was so worried then. Okay, continuing on. Which means I'm probably going to redo this section as well. So you can go away as well for now. I really like how that looks. The glory of industry. Now, we can always move the base if that steam geyser is in a really awkward place. But for now, let's just feed it a load of these, so that at least this one's track completely fills up, so we can see what it's like. Same with the red ore as well, the lovely, lovely oil. The Nimble Thimble is definitely the next vehicle which is going to get an upgrade. As much as I do love it, here's the thing though, I don't think I'm going to have a massive harvester this time. I'm really enjoying having a smaller harvester that's just a lot more, well, nimble, which is easier to drive around whenever I'm just getting a few resources here and there. And since I can scrap items and get so much resource at any given time, I think that's just the best way of doing things. There we are, you can accept those, and now that's completely saturated, and yeah, that looks phenomenal. At least in my humble opinion. Please, please do this correctly. Now that's interesting. So you are a new vehicle, number 2, which is fine, because we're just going to build off you now. But all of that resource was assigned to this. Well, that is the least satisfying heap of resources ever. Well, actually, honestly, that's fine. No major issue there. We're just going to be redoing this section, so you can go bye-bye. And now I'm going to build off of this. So, how are we going to do this then? I want a collection site, which can be straight away here, and I want a scrapping site. Actually, the opposite. So, still collection site here, scrapping site here, and then some space for a battery storage. I want it to be a little bit smaller just because we hit the maximum limit and that was stopping me from doing anything I wanted to. This little section of wall took way too long to build. I do love Terratech, and honestly it is definitely in my top 10 of all-time games, but the building system goes from being fantastic to very annoying in like 3 or 4 seconds, depending on what you're doing. Okay, so this is the perfect place for the batteries. I'm going to seal all this off, going to add armor on the outside on every level, and then the inside will be completely coated with batteries. This way, this can hold a lot of power and be able to charge everything nearby, and it will be a nice, safe place, which is not going to add to the overall size of the craft. Once again, keeping it a little bit smaller, whilst keeping it all nice and open plan, breezy and pretty. Also, apparently I need to redo these conveyors because they got messed up when the other half split off. Okay, still though, looking so much better already. The basic battery box is now done. It has 60 of the GSO batteries inside, and it has about 30 solar panels, which means it is generating power very quickly and has a decent supply of energy as a backup. And of course, we're getting constant power from the geothermal generator as well. This thing is going to be very, very easy to protect as soon as we're done with it. And yeah, that looks much better. I feel like I'm saying that constantly in the video, but in my time, a good 20 minutes has now passed since the last time I said it. Huzzah for editing. I just realised I currently only have 2 out of 4 of the scrappers, and this would look so much better if the scrappers were all in line and then this went next to it. This will be the delivery area, the area where we put all of our harvest. I could just leave it as it is, it wouldn't be difficult, I'll just attach that and then continue the conveyor, but then that would look a bit weird. Actually, no it wouldn't. Now I've said that, if we separate it a bit more, we can use this as a corner, and then we can even increase the conveyors as they go round the corner, and that would look much better, because then you could basically park in the corner and then go. So I have just psyched myself back to the original choice. Huzzah for that. Is that going the right way? Yes it is, okay, good. Of course we need a top layer and bottom layer, the bottom layer for something like the Nimble Thimble, and the top layer for something like the Corpse Harvester. One of those has a much edgier name than the other. Thimble. Terrifying. That looks a little bit like an open mouth. Now, this section at the back wasn't needed, but it felt a bit weird having this bit open and this bit closed. Looks fine to me, so I'm going to connect this to here. We don't need these here anymore, that was just there very briefly whilst I was doing other stuff. Let's just connect these with regular blocks. As many connection points... Oh, I didn't realise this didn't have a connection point on the back. That's a little bit annoying, actually, because that'll look a little bit off, but that's fine. The SCU is now part of the structure, which means there's one less tech anchored around. It's all part of one. We're currently still at a very happy 60 FPS. Huzzah for that. And I do realise that if we have the Hawkeye Fabricator, I don't think this space is adequate. But if that is the case, it'll be a very, very easy fix. All we need to do is move this 1 or 2 along and then redo that section, which will take at most 5 or 6 minutes. So that's absolutely fine. Definitely looking more like an actual machine now, which I really love. Okay, so, what next? I'm thinking defense tower right here. It's a bit of space, which is currently not being used for anything. It's within the structure itself. It'll be really, really easy to fortify. And if we build it high enough, it will give a nice vantage point for the weapons. Of course, we do want to use the venture weapons as well, but I want these to be in every corner. This will be for weapons like the hail rifle. Now, I have been told but the hail rifle actually has a very good range, although it could be the later venture rifle I'm thinking of. Go on, kill the thing. Thank you. Fire and medium range. Okay, let's compare that to my personal favourite, the 3-pound cannon. Oh, wow. So, I think we've found our new main weapon. Lovely. We need to get some of those fabricated as soon as possible. I have a horrible feeling they're actually more expensive than I think, though. Yes, they are. Not too bad, though. The plating doesn't cost all that much, does it? Yeah, the plating is just... Oh, it's just wood. Oh, fibre plating. I thought it said something else. Well, that makes complete sense, then. No wonder it's just that. That's nice and simple. For a second there, I thought it was over... cooling stuff, and I was like, oh no, not that glitch again. But don't worry, it wasn't that after all. Huzzah for that. So yes, please, those are going to be the main weapon then. Oh, or at least the main weapon. Here's the thing, I could have one turret which is separate from the main building. So this is actually a defense turret, which can go here in the middle. Because that can rotate. It can rotate, I can build it quite high, and with those guns and that range, it can probably actually pick off targets, smaller targets anyway. Then I can just make fortified missile embankments within the building itself. Maybe that would be the best idea. Plus, I could then copy and paste the elite turret later on, or add extra weapons to it as we get better weapons. Yeah, maybe that's what we should do. Yeah, that's definitely too small. The problem is, a mobile turret in that location looks a bit silly because of how thin the stalk has to be. So I don't know what else to do. Currently, it can defend basically all the way here, so the front arc is protected by this. Firing backwards, the main problem is the resources themselves, because the resources count as a physical object, and they get in the way of the bullets. The bullets simply get blocked. So I don't think building this up much more will really help all that much. I think what would be better now would be to just do those small missile silos, add all the shields and such, and I think it'll be okay. Also, this on its own has removed 10 FPS. If I look this way, let's actually look away from that. There you go, 60 FPS. 50. That's just... no wonder I was lagging so much before. So what is on the final to-do list then? What do we need to do to finish off this build? Because I've actually been here now for a very long time. I've actually spent more time doing this than the last video, which, yeah, that's just weird, isn't it? Because this seems so much more simple, but I've actually redone sections quite a few times. I'm not exactly the most decisive of people, which is definitely a problem when it comes to stuff like this. Well, on the to-do list, before I start waffling about other things, is, first of all, I need to double check to make sure there's no area where a single block can be destroyed and then a section breaks off, because if it breaks off, then it splits into a separate tech, and you can't just simply reconnect it. You need to basically redo that section. It's annoying, but I understand why it works like that. It's just not particularly good when it comes to a permanent fortification. Yeah, keep it like that. You turn like that, and then this one can go like this. And there we are. This adds one more nice layer to protect all of the shields and the solar panels. And of course by shields, I meant to say batteries, but that is the next thing on the to-do list. We need to add shields, but I think that will come after I add the missiles. I've just added a couple of missiles down at the front there. And essentially, I want every corner to have missiles. That way, it's always going to be able to target an enemy no matter where the enemy is from, without the need for a rotating turret, which would be lovely. And I mean that both in terms of a separate tech and just weapons on a turret. Can that not slot in there? It definitely can. That was weird. For some reason, I couldn't place it there. Clearly, I'm going absolutely bonkers. 2 sets of missiles added. 2 on the back, just because the defense turret will have no way of protecting it there. And then just 1 down here, and I would say that's done. Then we can move on and just add all the shields. After that, we can start molding the back, I guess, trying to make certain sections look a bit prettier. But still, it looks like it has fireworks, which is always pleasant. And thus we had missiles. Okay, I think I'm done for today's video, because honestly I'm starting to get sick of building right now, and in the next video we are definitely going to do some combat. I really want the new weapons, I really want to level up Venture so we get the Scrapper, I want to level up Hawkeye so I get the Fabricator. There's so much to do now, more to do with the questing, the missions and all that, and not to do with fabrication, base building, blah blah blah, so we'll definitely shift gears a bit in the next video. I just had to get this out of my system, and honestly, yeah, I think this looks significantly better. Still room for improvement in a few areas. For instance, these are just kind of floating right now, so maybe some Geocorp stuff underneath? Don't really know. Maybe some of the Venture brackets, just to make it like they've been attached to the wall. I don't know, there's a lot of things we could do. Actually, how expensive are the brackets? Haven't really been using them that much. That is very cheap, actually, but I think I'm out of, yeah, a few things. But of course, we could just scrap for them. I'll do a lot of that off camera, though. We also need to add shields everywhere. I'll definitely do that off camera because it's brainless and very, very boring. So with that, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that Terratech is a series you wish to see continued in the future. If you have any more suggestions for our base, then feel free to tell me in the comments below, because we actually have loads of space left now, which is just wonderful. There's so much we can do. We could add an extra defense tower over here. We could add some extra areas if you can think of something cool. The future is looking bright and very rich. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. More excitement soon, I promise.